Do you get stuck endlessly tweaking your website, overthinking your offer, or editing your reel for the 100th time because it's just not perfect? What if I told you this is not just a habit, it might actually be rooted in trauma? In this episode, we're diving into how perfectionism can hold you back in business and why your next big win comes from progress, not perfection. By the end, you'll have concrete tools to break free and finally launch with confidence.
Lady bosses, are you working even after putting the kids to bed but still not getting results?
Are you tired of spending money on ads that aren't getting engagement?
Do you feel burdened that you aren't fulfilling your purpose in life because you are so consumed with work?
I'm your host, Brooke Boltz. I'm an attorney and founder of Boltz Legal. I started my business and in 1 year was bringing in 7 figures and am now bringing in multi-7 figures.
And I'm your co-host, Rachel Boltz, owner of Boltz Media. I've helped many businesses build their online presence and increase their revenue through digital marketing.
Want to hear how we did it?
We are here to help you achieve your goals personally, professionally, and spiritually.
So kick off your high heels, sit back, and let's ignite that passion.
We're Miss Biz, where we're putting the Miss in biz.
Let's get biz done.
So today we're tackling perfectionism, and not the cute type A personality kind. The kind that keeps you frozen, editing endlessly, or delaying launches because nothing ever feels good enough. Perfectionism isn't just a personality quirk, it's often a trauma response. In fact, research shows that roughly 30 to 40% of perfectionists have childhood experiences where mistakes were punished or criticized, which has created a lifelong association between imperfectionism and shame, or imperfection and shame. And in business, that fear manifests as overthinking, procrastination, and lost opportunities.
I have some friends who really struggle with overthinking, and I never understood how debilitating it is until I've had conversations with them where they will be trying to do something as simple as make a happy birthday post for a friend, and they just keep coming up with, their mind just keeps telling them, well, should I say this or should I say that? And so they just keep overthinking all the limitless possibilities to the point that the birthday has come and gone.
Yeah.
And they never posted it because they just couldn't reach a conclusion, couldn't make a decision. And it opened my eyes because I feel for them to have to struggle with your own mind so much to make even sometimes simple decisions.
Yeah. I have to tell myself a lot of times that done is better than perfect. Just get it done. You can always make it better later in a lot of situations. So growing up, perfectionists often equated mistakes with punishment or rejection. And in childhood, that wiring just doesn't disappear. It shows up differently. In fact, in business, it shows up as constantly revising your website, endlessly tweaking offers, or re-recording reels. Perfectionism in marketing can cost entrepreneurs thousands of dollars in delayed launches and lost visibility. And it also fuels stress and burnout. Studies show that perfectionists experience 30% higher rates of anxiety and depression compared to non-perfectionists.
One of the things you said earlier was thinking back to childhood memories of when someone instilled that belief in you that things needed to be perfect. And I remember myself that when I would come home with a report card with all A's and a B, the first question I was asked was, well, what's the B in? And so I felt like the focus was on the thing that wasn't the A, you know, as opposed to celebrating the A's that I had gotten. And so now with my kids, I try to, when I pick them up from basketball practice, I ask them, what did you do good today? What did you do well? And try to focus on first, you know, if they say I got A's and B's, what were those A's? I try to ask first what the A's are before turning to what the B's were, or the C's sometimes in our case. But you know, I try to first, it's hard because especially when that's a habit to just focus on what needs to be improved.
Yeah.
But when you're creating sometimes or influencing someone's lifelong mindset, it really is important to focus on the positives.
Yeah, you got to celebrate those wins. I think that's a great tip. So even celebrities struggle. Taylor Swift has talked about rewriting lyrics repeatedly because nothing felt good enough. Beyonce famously said that her pursuit of perfectionism led her to obsess over details for years. But her breakthrough came when she realized that progress and releasing her work was more important than endless revisions. I think that's a pretty solid tip.
Yeah, and I think too, it comes down to how important is this thing? Is it just a happy birthday post on Facebook that isn't gonna be life or death, or are you writing, you know, a book that is gonna be read by people all over the world? You know, I think we have to, some people put that same level of pressure and stress on themselves, whether they're writing a happy birthday post or whether they're writing a War and Peace. You know, their mind doesn't know the difference.
Right.
And I think you need to have a measure of perfectionism when you're writing War and Peace. You know, you want that to be perfect, but you can't have that same type of mindset when you're doing something that's less important.
Right. So the psychology behind it is that perfectionism is often tied to trauma, where brains learn that mistakes equal danger. Neuroscientists explain that this trigger, which it triggers the, I don't know how. Amygdala, that's what we're going with, which is the part of the brain that's responsible for fear responses. In business, this fear can feel like procrastination, self-sabotage, or endless overthinking. But the good news is that you can retrain your brain. Behavioral psychology calls this exposure therapy for entrepreneurs, where the more you act despite imperfectionism, the less fear that controls you.
I want to kind of let that sink in for a second. So if you struggle with perfectionism, you can retrain your brain, which is to basically force yourself to
just
act.
Do it.
Despite the fact you know it's not perfect.
Yep.
And then that fear starts to control you less and less because you're able to see, I believe that, okay, the world didn't end.
Yeah, I didn't get in trouble.
There was there might have been a typo, or I might have, you know, done it might not have been perfect, but it's fine. Nobody noticed, or someone noticed, and I said, oh, I'm sorry, I missed that. Right. And the world moved on. And so the more you just force yourself to do it, the easier it becomes.
Absolutely.
Do you love the Miss Biz podcast?
Because we love you.
Here's 3 things you can do to show your support.
1, write us a review. Apple, Spotify, and Google My Business are the best platforms to write a review.
2, follow us on social media. Our handle is @MissBizPodcast.
3, join our Facebook group, Miss Biz Nation, for exclusive content and behind-the-scenes footage. Also, ask questions related to your business and discuss topics from our episodes. And it's important to focus on progress over perfection. So consider some of these eye-opening numbers. A 2022 survey of 1,200 small business owners found that 48% delayed projects occurred due to perfectionism, yet only 15% saw better outcomes when they were finally launched. Harvard Business Review reports that teams embracing good enough launches outperform perfection-focused teams by 30% in speed and innovation. And even Oprah Winfrey has said that the fear of
You're saying this word a lot.
I know. I'm all tongue-tied today. Imperfection was one of her hugest hurdles early in her career. She credits her massive success learning to launch and to adjust rather than watching for perfectionism.
Yeah. And I think the more you do it, the better you get. So if you get stuck on that first time because it's not perfect, then you're not giving yourself the ability to improve, because you never have a second time and a third time and fourth time, which is where you get better and better and better. So, one of the things that also is coming to mind for me is going back to those childhood memories and figuring out, okay, where did this come from? When did this start for me that I started to overthink so much, or that I became so obsessed with being perfect? Was it related to grades? Were you an athlete and every time you missed a goal or missed a touchdown, you were berated, and so you just had this fear? Where does it come from? And I think in addition to identifying it, you have to, in prayer, forgive that person.
Yeah.
And release the pain and the fear of those memories so that you can now move forward.
Yep. So someone I know, who shall not be named, is constantly changing her branding.
It's not me, right?
No, it's not you. It's not you, and it's not me either. But somebody I know is constantly changing her branding. I mean, the amount of time that she spends making her flyers, revising her website, and it doesn't look great because that's not her skill. But she will not spend any money on any marketing. She spends all of her time like redoing all of these things because she's never happy with what the final product is. And she's also not someone who will pay somebody, not even just to produce it, but to help her get clear on what exactly that she's looking for. So when she could be working and out there making money, she's doing these things. And it's been very debilitating for her business. She's always short on money and, living in that fear because she's letting this perfectionism hold her down. So,
well, chances are, even if she hired someone, she might not be happy with what they produce either.
Yeah.
Because she's got such high expectations. What you're reminding me of, too, is sometimes the things that we're so focused on are not the things that are really going to drive the needle in the right direction to bring in money. My daughter started a babysitting business over the summer, and she was really excited to make a logo and make business cards and make flyers and all those things. And then she passed it all out and was like, okay, where's the business? Why aren't people hiring me? I've got the logo, I've got the flyers, and I was like, that's not how it works, baby girl. You don't just make a logo and have some flyers and now people trust you with their kids. It doesn't work that way. So I told her the things she needed to do, and guess what? She didn't want to do those things. So her babysitting business is not self-sustaining at this point. So it's but I think those are the things that are fun to do sometimes, and but they're not always the things we should be so focused on. I mean, frankly, some of the best businesses in the world don't have the most amazing logos,
right,
or whatever. I mean, actually, it reminds me, I keep getting off track, but Eventbrite. Have you seen Eventbrite's? Have you paid attention to the Eventbrite's logo that's on its icon?
I don't think so.
It's horrible. It like makes my whole home screen look bad. It's just like they use some weird like burnt orange color, and it's like a weird looking squiggle line is their logo.
So if you know anybody at Eventbrite, I would love a 3-way introduction via text or email to help them get this corrected.
Their logo is terrible, but everybody knows Eventbrite. Eventbrite's a tremendously successful business, so I know this is, off topic, but sometimes the things you're so worried about don't really matter that much. Not to say your logo is not important. It is, but it's not going to put money in your pocket just because you have a good logo. It's one thing that needs to be consistent with everything else, to be professional with everything else, but don't spend 100 hours on a logo at the sacrifice of not putting your time and effort into things that actually move the needle.
Well, I do think a logo is important for brand authority and cohesion, but at the same respect, I agree with you. You should not be spending that much time trying to do it on your own. You should pay a professional a flat fee to do it for you, because it's going to save you more money in the long term when you do like the time money evaluation.
And I'm not saying it's not important. It is important, but a logo alone does not bring money. I mean, we could put a logo out there and say Brooks Paint Business, and it's the best logo you've ever seen. That doesn't mean people are going to hire me just because I have a logo. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not the sole thing. I have to do other things too. So right. I just don't think it's the only thing. And people get really focused on it, like your friend.
Yeah.
Or I guess not just logo. I'm just using logo as an example, but the branding in general. Having a standout speaker resume is so important to booking speaking engagements. If you're looking to increase your speaking engagements, but don't know where to start with your speaker resume and you'd like to see a couple of examples, we would be happy to share ours with you.
Go to missbiz.com/contact and in the subject line type speaker resumes and we'll send you your copy today. So some practical tips to overcome perfectionism. It all really starts with a mindset shift to reframe those mistakes as data. Every misstep is an insight, not a failure. You also have to make sure, like you were talking about with your daughters, that you're celebrating those small wins. Completing imperfect tasks trains your brain to reward action over perfection. And you also have to detach self-worth from outcomes, so your value isn't tied to flawless results.
So the 80-20 rule is focus on the 20% of effort that produces 80% of the results.
Yes.
So I think that's what we were talking about with the logo. Like it's not the thing that's going to produce 80% of the results. I mean, think about it. When's the last time you hired someone because they had a great logo? It's not the determining factor. But if they have a terrible logo, you're going to be like, oh, it might make you not hire them.
Right.
But it shouldn't be the focus of 80% of your time if it's not producing 80% of the results.
Yeah, you also want to make sure that you're setting hard deadlines. Launching is much better than endlessly tweaking something.
Batch content creation is another tip. So create a month's worth of content quickly and then refine it if you need to later. Schedule it. Don't think about it anymore. Get it out there.
That is like my number one hack for content creation. Just film everything in one day. Then you're going to want to release and refine it. So adopt that mindset of the MVP. And in this situation, it stands for minimum viable product to test and improve.
So some other tools and techniques to help with perfectionism. One is time boxing. So you give yourself a set time for edits, and then publish it regardless. I think this is good. Give yourself, set yourself an alarm on your phone or whatever and say, when I get to this point, it's done.
Yeah.
I'm hitting send and not going to think about it again.
Absolutely. Also, have some accountability partners with you. Share deadlines with your coach, or maybe just a friend that you have who's a business owner, or maybe somebody who's going through the same thing as you, and you both can help keep each other on track.
Also, if you're a journaler, then you can write about what perfectionism costs you in time, energy, and opportunity. I mean, time is everything. And if you are spending an inordinate amount of time on just overthinking things, then sitting down and writing down what that's costing you in time and in brain space is a lot.
Mm-hmm. So some people that you can learn from, one of them is J.K. Rowling, admitted that she had left Harry Potter manuscripts imperfect initially and refined after feedback. So just think about if she would have just been dwelling on it, we might not even have Harry Potter today.
And sometimes I was working on this week, I had a deadline on a motion, and it turned out to be a 20-page motion that I put hours and hours into. It was just like a big writing project for me. And I got to the place one night where I'm like, all right, I just need to send this. And I didn't file it with the court yet, but I sent it to the client so that he could read it. And I sent it to my paralegal so that she could, work on getting the exhibits to attach. And I just needed a brain break from it. And then I came in the next day, having not thought about it for 12 hours, and had one more idea to put into that motion and put it in and then filed it. Mm-hmm. So it's like just kind of taking that break.
Yeah.
Sending it to somebody else to take a look at, get the client feedback, and then picking it up again the next day, I think allowed me to just get it done.
Yeah. Well, it kind of ties in with our episode on focus and how we were talking about how our brain works in like those 90-minute intervals. And if you're continuously working on something because it's not perfect, it's going to take you twice as long because your brain is tired. It needs that break in order to truly focus and come up with the best solution to whatever it is that you're trying to do. Ellen DeGeneres is another celebrity who credits launching her comedy career despite early fears and rejection as a turning point. Waiting for perfection would have kept her off stage. Yeah, that is a really tough job, especially when you consider that, generally speaking, most people's number one fear is public speaking. And then, putting yourself out there as a comedian has got to be even more scary as well.
Yeah. Well, you improve with practice, with time, with doing things. And so if you stop at any point, stop that improvement, then you don't get any better. You just stay the same.
So remember, perfectionism often hides fear of visibility. So ask yourself, what's the worst thing that could happen if I launch this imperfectly? Usually it's not as bad as your brain makes it. Progress is about learning, adapting, and showing up consistently. Remember, action compounds. Even small, imperfect steps build momentum, credibility, and results over time.
Perfectionism may feel like a superpower, but often it's a trap. Your business doesn't need perfection. It needs progress, courage, and action. So your challenge this week is to pick one task, one post, one offer, and launch it imperfectly. Then get feedback, tweak it, and finalize it. Action beats hesitation. Iteration beats overthinking, and courage beats fear.
So if this episode resonated, make sure that you share it with a friend who is stuck in perfectionism, and leave us a review, Apple review, Spotify review, even a Google review, so that we can help more entrepreneurs embrace progress over perfection.
We appreciate you and are honored to be on this journey with you. We can't wait to help you, to encourage you, and show you how to grow personally, professionally, and spiritually.
If you found Miss Biz helpful, please leave a review and share with others.
You can follow us on social media at Miss Biz Podcast.
For legal questions or services, please visit boltslegal.com.
And for digital marketing needs, please visit boltsmedia.com. Let's get biz done.